Hello again, it's me. I am Dr. R.J, Monster Veterinarian, and I am here to answer your questions about your monster, cryptid, or kaiju. Strange questions about strange creatures. So, without further ado, let's begin. My first question here is from Goro Maki from Shikoku, Japan. He writes, we have a Kumonga named Spigas. FYI, for those not in the know, a Kumonga is a giant spider, a kaiju spider, so to speak. Uh, we've had her since she was only 2 meters high. Oh, well, they're just so adorable when they're tiny like that. 2 meter spiders, they're little babies, they're so cute. Now she is 40 meters high. Gotten to be a big one. She nests in our garage. That's a good place as long as you have a big enough garage. I knew one who nested between 2 cell towers, but that's another story. We're very attached to her. Well, that's nice to hear. She was always a great web spinner, and she caught lots of pests in the house, like gremlins and fairies, that kind of thing. Oh, they're so useful getting rid of those annoying pests. They're great, those Kumongas. Of course, there are some downsides. Our teenage son tries to bring girls home, but when they see Spigas, they run screaming and they don't stop. Some of them were found in another state, still running. Girls and spiders, huh? What are you going to do? But there's a new problem. Wonder what this is. Ever since Spigas read Charlotte's Web, she decided to be creative and artistic with her webs. She's putting mandalas and designs into her webbing now. Nothing wrong with that, right? She's also writing slogans into her webs like natural web designer. Oh, that's clever, actually. I like that. Web designer. But she's so in love with her own web art that she's getting carried away. The webs are getting bigger and bigger. She's covered our backyard in webs, and she caught the landscapers. Then she covered the front of the house in webbing, and she caught the local postal carrier. Recently, her web started to stretch out into the street, and she caught some of the local motorcycle cops. They were not amused. No, I would assume they would not be. We got a fine. She will not let us take our webs down because she's so in love with her web art, but the neighbors are starting to complain when they walk down the street and get caught in the web. I can imagine that they would be a little peeved about that. We love our spider and we don't want to hurt her feelings. So what do we do about this situation? Sticky situation in Shikoku, Guru. Well, Guru, it's very touching how you and your family are very stuck on your spider. That's a little joke, right? Stuck on the spider. Well, it doesn't matter. But they are very sensitive, so you should know that. I mean, spiders can be very emotional. Have you ever seen a spider cry from all 8 eyes? It tears your heart out. Very sad. You should know that when they get depressed, they tend to eat a lot. They like to eat Mothman wherever they can find one, and that makes them start to get heavy, and they get indigestion, and then they vomit venom all over the place, which is very gross and also very toxic, and you don't want that. So I'm glad that you have not hurt her feelings because that could exacerbate the problem. So what do you do about your artistic arachnid and this whole problem of the webbing? Well, first, as I said, don't discourage her, encourage her, tell her how beautiful her webs are, but add one word, miniatures. Add the word miniatures. Tell her that miniature is cool, that small is stylish, that less is more. Like Tyrion Lannister. Smaller is better. Once you get your Kumonga convinced that her web should be small, she'll want to see them reduced. Now, of course, she won't be able to make small webs by herself because she's 40 meters high. But what you do is you can hire this mad scientist I know named Dr. Thorkel. He's sometimes known as Dr. Cyclops, but that's another whole story. And he has a shrink ray, and he loves to use it, and he's very cheap. So you bring Dr. Cyclops, Dr. Thorkel over, and he can shrink down those huge neighborhood spanning webs and make them to whatever size you want. A foot, 2 feet, a few inches, 6 inches, tiny, whatever you want. It's a great shrink ray. And it won't damage the web at all. The designs, the mandalas, the slogans, they will stay exactly as they were, just really tiny. Then after that, there is another guy I would recommend called Professor Jared, a madman and wax sculptor. And yes, he has been known to encase living people in wax and put them on display in his house of wax as an exhibit. And yeah, that's a little eccentric, and some people might be upset about that. But when you put that stuff aside, he's actually very good at what he does. So what you do is you get Professor Jared. He comes in and he uses his wax formula, and he can encase those webs in wax and preserve them. Now you have these wax art, and you can have them put on an exhibit in his house of wax. And it actually serves two purposes. One, it'll make your arachnid, your Kumonga, so proud to have this miniature wax exhibit in the house of wax, and it will also stop Dr. Jared from kidnapping people and encasing them in wax and putting them on exhibit in his wax museum. So it will be a win-win for everybody, and also your neighbors will be very happy not to have that problem with the web. So that should handle that. Oh, and about the other problem about the girlfriends running away and screaming. Well, I have a suggestion for that. You can rent out the fly. Remember the fly? Very ugly, very scary. Have him chase the women. Have him scare them. They will be terrified. He'll chase them. They'll run, scream. And then who will come to their rescue? Yes, your Kumonga, Spigas, comes to the rescue. Save them from the fly. Because, hey, what scares off a fly more than a giant spider, right? So, these girlfriends that your son wants to meet, they will actually want to go to your house now because it'll be the one place that will be safe from the fly. And once they're around your spider for a while, once they spend time with Spigas, your Kumonga, they'll see how nice spiders are and how friendly and warm they are, and they'll fall in love with it, and they'll want to come by even just to see the spider and to be protected from the fly. So you'll have women gathering at your house instead of running away. So that should solve the problem because your spider will be a hero, like Spider-Man or Spider. Spider, 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 spider. Well, anyway, that should take care of the problem of your friendly neighborhood spider. All right, so I have another question here, and this is from John and Helen Rollison in Covent Gardens, London, England. They write, in January, we adopted a Yeti. Very cool. His name is Bumbles. Oh, that is so cute. Bumbles. That is a cute name for a Yeti. Bumbles the Yeti. He's a fun monster to have around as long as you don't call him an abominable snowman. Oh, well, who wants to be called abominable? Don't use the A word. Never use the A word, especially around a Yeti. The last time someone called him that, our Yeti got so angry he chased the guy around the neighborhood for miles down the street, leading to a snowmobile chase down the frozen Thames River. Well, that's not exciting, actually. I wish they had filmed. Did anybody film that? I'd love to see that. But otherwise, he's a lot of fun to have around in the winter. He pulls kids on the sled to give them sleigh rides. He's a great hockey goalie, except when he eats the puck. Well, they do have a bit of a weird appetite. He's undefeated in snowball fights. They have a great arm, those Yetis, they do. And you should hear his boisterous laughter when he sees someone slip and fall on the ice. Well, he sounds fun. I like this Yeti already. Yeti already, I made a rhyme. He sounds fun, though. However, the warm weather is coming. Well, that can be troubling for a Yeti. Our Yeti is not used to the warm weather, and he believed it when my son's friend told him that Yetis melt in the heat. Oh, well, that's mean. Kids can be mean. Now he's terrified about the summer coming. He's got us buying gallons of ice to put into the tub so he can just sit there in the cold water, but now we can't use our bathtub anymore. Well, that can be a sneaky situation. The AC is turned up so high the toilet water is frozen. That can be chilling. You also have very good AC in your place. He freaks out when my wife uses a hairdryer, and he won't let us turn on the stove. That can be bad around dinner time. He stomped on my lighter. We love our Yeti, but he's driving us crazy and we're freezing in the springtime. How do we deal with a Yeti having a meltdown? Chilling concerns in Coventry, John and Helen. Well, John and Helen. First, let me say it's nice to hear from you. Get it? Nice to hear from you. Anyway, it's a shame to see your Yeti losing its cool because Yetis are normally very cool. Yetis are like the Fonzie of the Monster Kingdom. Remember Fonzie? Well, anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it is a shame to see your Yeti becoming so heated over this summer situation. So what can you do about a heat phobic Yeti? Well, first, before I get into that, let me say about the name, the abominable snowman thing. Uh, so offensive. Who wants to hear that? I mean, who wants to be called abominable? I mean, you can't blame your Yeti for chasing that guy like the coyote chasing Roadrunner after a week-long fast. So I don't blame him for getting angry. All Yetis get angry about that. They're so tired of that name. So what you need to do is convince your Yeti that abominable means something other than what he thinks it is. You need to make the word abominable seem less abominable. So what you do is you tell him that it's an anagram. You tell him abominable stands for this. Where am I? Let me go. Abominable stands for awesome beast or monster is nasty and brutally lethal everywhere. Now that's a cool thing for a monster to hear. Every monster wants to hear that they're nasty and brutally lethal. That's the kind of thing that they can wear with pride and not be offended by. They want to know that they're brutal, lethal. They don't want to be called abominable, but they want to know that they're scary. That's the difference. See, it's a fine difference, but it's a difference, and they'll want to hear that. In fact, if you can't have a shirt made, it's hard to find a shirt in that size, I know, because they're like 8 or 9 feet tall. But if you can find a shirt or have one made, have a shirt made with that slogan on it that he can wear with pride and walk around the neighborhood with that emblem emblazed on his chest that he is nasty and brutal and all that stuff, and your monster will love it, and it will take the edge off that word, and it won't bother him anymore. Now, about the situation with the house and him turning your home into a lair for Mr. Freeze. What you do until you can convince your monster that that bratty kid was lying, what you need to do is get him a little place of his own. So here's what you need to do. Get yourself a Baragon. A Baragon is a big puppy-looking kaiju. They got floppy ears, and they're very cute. They're adorable despite being big. And they're very good diggers, and you can rent them out relatively cheaply. And you have this Baragon dig a hole in your backyard, making a cave or a cavern in your yard or somewhere near your house. Well, once you have that underground cavern, I can recommend a mad scientist I know named Thelonious Grew, and he has a freeze ray. So he can come down into the cavern and use his freeze ray to turn it into a beautiful ice layer. There'll be ice stalactites and it'll be crystalline and it'll be beautiful and it'll look great. And your Yeti will love it. He will love hanging around down there, and he can just slide around on the ice, and he can just eat snow cones and just enjoy his little ice paradise down there until the winter comes again. And then he can go back up and do the snowball fights and eating the pucks and all the other stuff that he does, because that's what Yetis do. So that should solve your problem, John and Helen from Covent Gardens. So, as for me, that's all the time I have for today. I have one of the cat people as well as a devil dog in my waiting room, and as you can probably guess, it is not a good idea to have them in the same place for too long because all hell can literally break loose. So I'd better get out there before they destroy my waiting room. So that is all from me. I have been Dr. R.J. Monster Veterinarian, and I was here to answer your questions about your monster, cryptid, or kaiju. Strange answers for strange questions about strange creatures. And until next time, have a monster of a great day.